Proverbs chapter 13 verse 22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. Hi, my name is Charles Vance. I'm along with Chief Strategist Terry Sacka, and you are watching the Wealth Transfer. It's good to see you, Terry. It's great to see you today. Glad that you're along on the program. Always a pleasure. We just love getting together and picking each other's brains.
I wish we could share. I wish we could share what we talk about personally when we're not on air. On air, I think we would really be very informative. I think highly intriguing if people could listen to us talk when we're not actually filming. We have 30 minutes. We're working so hard to put this content in. We're going to try even harder to try to get to the point. I'm going to slow down a little more. I did notice last week that I don't know what happened, but I was moving along, and this content is pretty intense. And I think to some extent when it was because it was such a really deep and fruitful and rewarding content, I think to us, the people, that I was just excited. So
Terry, real quickly, I want to tell people who both of us are. My name is Charles Vance, of course. I'm senior pastor at Empowered Church. I own 25 pieces of real estate, have some other investments as well. And in addition to that, prior to my 21 years of tenure here as senior pastor, we owned a construction company and a retail store. Right now, we're just real estate and some other investments and pastoring. And you?
I'm the chief strategist, the analyst. I come here from Cornerstone Asset Metals. I used to be involved in financial advisory, have multiple licenses. I get it. I understand the world system from that side. We are strictly and only in earth products right now, natural resources, specifically refining of fine metals, and minting and distributing. So I do understand the core of the global economics. I'm the analyst, and that's where I come from. And I know the subject matter. Sometimes, there's such a debate on things. Charles and I were talking about how people get so aggressive about the debate, oh, prices are going down, or this is happening, it's not so true now, is it? America, we're short-term thinkers. We need to put this in perspective, medium-term, long-term, bigger picture. The fact is, if you would have been in the bigger picture, the way we're telling you, God's way of things of the earth, you infinitely would be better off today. Fact. So we are not advocating any form of get rich quick, any form of this is going to happen in 2 months, but we definitely believe, truthfully, of the data that what we're advocating is definitely something midterm and the long term, because it's the most important thing we as families and we as individuals can do.
So really what we're talking about when we talk about earth products, we're talking about like real estate, gas, oil, food,
gas, cotton, food, silver, gold. Things of it. Cotton is wonderful too. Yeah. Things.
So anything that the earth produces, because God created the earth, and anything that it produces retains tangible tangible value. Yeah. So it's really important for us to understand that when we're investing in paper, the paper is manipulated by the minds of the people that are controlling the paper.
Yes, and we're going to get deep into this this time around. As we go over the next few weeks, we're going to it's going to be very rewarding. And by the time we get done, you're going to so understand exactly what Charles was just saying, how vital natural resources are. Natural resources, because of population exploding throughout all throughout the world. We figure we're getting 1 billion people every 10 years now. They need natural resources. They need food. They need energy, and energy is the big one. We here at Wealth Transfer for the next few weeks at least, we will be discussing, as we have the last couple, about the petrodollar and what that means. And the petrodollar really is, in essence, what we are as a nation. It's what's securing the dollar and why it's going to be compromised, and why it's so important globally, because energy globally, I'm amazed when you start to see all this play out, how connected it really is.
Real quickly, I want you to explain to the people that are watching, that may not have been watching the last few weeks, what the petrodollar is, because sometimes we hear this jargon on news and we just kind of brush it off because it doesn't really mean anything to us.
Yeah, we're starting to learn more. The petrodollar is an agreement that was made with Saudi Arabia and America back in the day. We basically said, when we'll show some more graphics here, maybe even this program, basically we made an agreement to protect Saudi Arabia with military equipment and military, and in turn they, because they were in control of crude oil, would then make all oil priced in an American dollar. Well, because the American dollar was then needed for crude oil, and every country needed crude oil, the dollar is in demand. And so every country needed dollars in their bank to buy oil. Well, that made our bonds in demand. And that's why we've had for 40 years a vibrant and wonderful, besides the ups and downs, of course, of recession, but a vibrant economy, and why it's nearing an end, unfortunately, or how close we are to a very big change. So.
Now, Terry, there's really a little more depth when it comes to the American dollar, because probably the majority of people that are in America thinks that America actually produces money, and that our money, the currency that we use, is created by the American government.
Yes.
We talk about cranking up the printing presses and printing more money, and the government printing more money, but really people need to understand that the money is not manufactured or controlled by the U.S. government, but rather by the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a totally different group of people.
It is, and what it is basically is we as America, well, the whole world has gone fiat. Fiat meaning fake. It's not backed up by anything tangible. Because we're in the situation we are globally, 2008 was just the beginning. The petrodollar, as we're laying out right now, and as we're going to continue to lay out this week and the weeks to come, is so vital, because without the petrodollar agreement, this fiat currency that we hold will literally lose tremendous, I'm saying probably half of its value, because all the printed trillions of fake dollars we have overseas will be forced to start coming home. And of course, when you have too many of these chasing too few goods, you have inflation.
Now
it's really important to understand, because that's why you're paying high prices for things now.
The money, you're saying that we have too many of these. You know, some people will say, where did too many of them come from? I mean, you know, you can
printed out of thin air, though.
So they are printed out of thin air, but they are printed by the okay of the government, so that the government can have this lended to them.
Yes.
Or lent to them. So when this money starts coming back, it's going to create what people call inflation. There's going to be more money than goods, and it's going to cause our goods to cost more currency.
Yeah, because that happened in, remember, in the 70s, for most of us in the 70s, we remember all that heavy inflation that came in. That's because in the 60s, a lot of the gold, or the dollar bills, I'm sorry, these paper dollars were coming back, and they were saying, hey, in the 60s now, they were saying, hey, we want our gold instead. We don't trust you. You're printing too many of these.
From around the world.
From around the world. Mainly France started, de Gaulle and them. But what happened is we had 21,000 tons of gold at the time, and now they supposedly only have 8,000, and my guess is we don't even have that because it's leased out. So my guess is we probably don't have much gold at all, because we're gambling that gold will never be real money, which is not true. But what happened is they came home. These came home. When they came home, there's 70s inflation, of course, and the gentleman that was directly involved in doing that is actually involved now in advising the government, and it's not good, because they came off the gold for a reason, went on this fiat, and of course we had tremendous inflation, and we've been having it since. And they think that's a good thing, but is it really a good thing? Because look at our families and look at our economy.
So what do you think? Now, I want people to understand that we're speculating with knowledge. Yeah. You don't just speculate, think, well, gee, I think so-and-so might happen. You're very read. You investigate a lot of things. It amazes me how much stuff that you bring to the table when we do these programs. But it's stuff that it's information that you've researched that's out there. Anybody could find it if they wanted to find it. Most of it's kind of hidden. What do you think, with the knowledge that you have right now, is going to take place or happen with the petrodollar?
Well, we're in a pinnacle point in the petrodollar. What's happening is, now, this wasn't like this in the past. In the past, Russia, China, these other nations, they were kind of enemies. Not really enemies maybe per se, but they just definitely didn't get along. And we as America were dividing countries and nations around the world enough to keep alliances from happening. Unfortunately, since 2008, probably before that, but it was started, but definitely since 2008, we have been shown as a debt-based society to now be vulnerable. We're vulnerable financially. We're not nearly as powerful economically. We're the world's largest debtor in the history of the world. And we have printed trillions and trillions of worthless currency that the world is aware of. Now what's happened? We've forced alliances to take place. And this, Charles, is where the petro comes in, because these alliances, which we're going to get over the next few weeks, you're going to be quite astonished to see how the alliances are forming a east-west division. We no longer are dividing. And when you start to see the territories where we went to war, why we did things we did, it was always on keeping certain elements of the world divided, because if you're divided, you can't then align and then go against. And so America was trying to keep their dominance that way, which I understand. I'm an American. I'd like that. But
Now the petrodollar has been in place for years now. Pretty much causes us to be able to control the flow of currency in the world.
It not only the flow of currency, but because of that, we controlled all finance, trade, energy. And what we're saying is now, since 2008, we have something coming very soon that is going to be far bigger than 2008. You can disagree all you want. Do your homework, because if you think it's status quo, you're not looking at the right information. And so for those that don't really believe now, that's just fine. We're here to provide information. But you better be prepared. Take down the number in the website anyway. Be prepared, because retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, inheritance money, this isn't money that you get and you spend, or it's for short term. This is our lifelong savings. This is our future, our children, our children's children's inheritance. This event that's coming is going to drastically impact your ability to have a sustained quality of life if you're not properly protected. So before we engage here into this, let me just let you know that for those that do have IRAs and 401ks, if you want to protect them into what we call God's money, tangible hard assets, you can easily and simply roll it over. We have this package we'll send out. Register, give us a call. This package is loaded with data that backs up what we're saying with the dollar, with China, the petrodollar, and what's coming, so you can be educated and best make decisions on how to diversify yourself. Because if you're not in a hard, tangible asset when this happens, you're going to lose tremendous buying power, and all of your hard-earned wealth is going to evaporate, similar to 2008, but worse this next time around.
What is going on presently as we speak with the petrodollar? Because I think last week, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about some new alliances taking place, and kind of eliminating the U.S. currency in their trades now for oil.
We call it a de-dollarization. And it's
de-dollarization.
De-dollarization.
Okay.
And it started, of course, with the BRIC nations, and the BRIC nations are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, but obviously it's far deeper than that, and we're going to get into when you start to see how it actually divides into the Middle East, and you're going to see why Syria is so important. You're going to understand even a little bit more. We explain why Ukraine is important. These are regions that are all veins of energy, and why this is being done is pure and simply because of the petrodollar. I know the prices of gold and silver are low right now. That's all pure manipulation. The lower this stuff goes, the more fear they have that there's a problem. It's not the other way around. It's a reckoning coming. Just be prepared for that. And know that the information we're sharing you is hardcore data. You take with what you wish in this. You can believe what you want. It's not that we need Saudi Arabia oil and gas. Remember this. It's not that we need certain oil and energy in regions we're getting involved in. It's not about that. This is about the petrodollar, the dollar's dominance and the control globally in trade, which, by the way, we've lost more than half of that control already in trade. We cannot lose the petrodollar. If we lose the petrodollar, trillions of currency notes come home. We will lose dominance. Our currency will be imploded. We'll have to form something else. it will harm every aspect of our living. Now, the relationships that are coming in due, as we got into, the BRIC nations started this, and then we're going to start with this one, is Russian and Indian leaders. Now, people don't believe India, but India is our friend, yes, but watch out that the East is not kind of coalescing with India, and in the end, Indians will go where it's best suited for them. They're right in the middle of this Silk Road alliance, as we shared the past few weeks. And Russia and India are forging major pipeline oil deals, and it won't be in U.S. dollars. So let's just throw image 19 up there just to kind of give you who are we talking about. These two gentlemen right there. That's the Russian leader on the left, the Indian leader on the right. You can take that off. India is growing. They are a big population. India and China, of course, are well over 1 billion people, and they need these natural resources. So they're aligning in this fashion. The petrodollar is being challenged from the east. The whole entire eastern sector is where this petro challenge is coming from. So we're going to outline over the next few weeks these alliances, and as you see these alliances, you're going to understand and realize the importance. And it'll be so clearly understood by the time we're done, you're going to sit back with your jaw dropped and go, oh my gosh, definitely want to be protected, definitely want to be preserved in all my hard-earned assets, at least with a portion, because what's coming is going to be an earthquake of realignment globally.
Terry, I think there's a lot of people that really don't understand that our currency system is based on debt.
Yes,
if debt
right.
disappeared, our currency would basically disappear. There would,
I know.
because it's fake. This
That's exactly
paper
right.
Is there's nothing to back this.
Yes.
So if there's not a debt that this is going to pay off, then if the debt were paid off, these are just pieces of paper.
And see, this is why this is so important, because we are so heavy in debt now. The world is forming alliances away from the dollar. As they form alliances away from the dollar, and yet we have trillions of these printed, it's putting us in jeopardy as a nation. Now, we'll survive, but we're going to go through a depression hurt.
It's putting our currency
Yes.
in a situation
absolutely
that is going to be compromised.
That's exactly right.
And that's dangerous for us because we use this
Yes.
as a means of exchange for goods and services.
Yes.
And if this gets compromised and it becomes less and less valuable worldwide,
Yes.
it's going to become less valuable here in the United States as well.
Absolutely.
And that's going to cause us to have a whole lot, and people can see this already, gasoline, milk, bread, just about about anything that we live with, that we use to purchase to live every day. It's taking more of these.
And that's the whole point here. This whole concept is designed, the whole concept of wealth transfer is it is designed to help you understand that if you're not properly protected, what will end up happening is it'll take so many more of these to have the quality of life you have now. If you haven't noticed, it's already taken a lot more of these to have the same quality of life you had 10 years ago. Because these relationships are very real. Now, the Russia and the India is a smaller dynamic as we lead up over the weeks here and you start to see these relationships. You're not going to realize that they're taking place, and when you see them, you're going to be like, this is amazing. But look at this image number 20. This is India's gross domestic product and energy. Notice how over the years from 2003 to 2011, just there alone, notice how their total energy consumption continues to rise. Their GDP is rising, if you notice, too. The blue line is the GDP, the orange is the consumption.
Explain GDP real quick.
The gross domestic product, what they produce as a nation. They're becoming more productive nation, India. And remember, they have well over 1 billion people. And that energy consumption is huge. Look how much that's going up. Now, you can take that off, but see, this is so important because India has been eyeing this $40 billion pipeline from Russia to India to import the gasoline. This is all about LNG, liquid natural gas. And as we go forward, you're going to see why Syria, why Ukraine, why the Middle East, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iran are all part of this big picture of liquid natural gas and oil. India must have this energy. It's not a choice. as their economy rises, they must have energy to produce into the economy. Without the energy, they're done. Now, he made a bold statement, the president in India, and said that he does want to bring electricity to all Indians, and he wants to do it through solar, which I commend him for that, because if he does, silver is the #1 resource in solar paneling, so I'm okay with that one. But as we go forward here, let me just say this. These relationships are going to test the petrodollar. As we go forward, once the petrodollar arrangement changes, your retirement, your accounts, your savings are in jeopardy of value and buying power, and your quality of life is in value in the future. So for those that do have IRAs, you can email here or give us a call, register on the website. This package we'll send out to you for free. It's because we care about those folks that have those assets. We want you to be educated. Education is the best investment. It has all the data that we're talking about here and help you better make a decision to be diversified, because you can easily roll over into a precious metals IRA to protect yourself when these events unfold.
Terry, sometimes people don't understand, and I don't want to get off base here, but I also want to let people understand what we're talking about. When your company excuse me, your company deals with precious metals. And some people say, well, you have precious metals? It doesn't make any sense, because this is going to exchange for currency. But what people don't understand is these retain value.
Yes.
Precious metal retains value, just like real estate. Now, I understand this stuff goes up and down. We've owned real estate for a lot of years now. It goes up and down, but ultimately, it retains its trade value for other assets.
That's right.
And that's where people miss many times, understanding that this is something that you put in retirement portfolios. So that, and you guys can do this in several different ways. You can put this in a third-party vault for them, or they
we
can
send
put
it
in a
home to
third-party
people.
vault.
We put it in third-party vaults. We do it for the retirement accounts. We do it all the way around. And it's true. This is a medium-term, long-term storage of value. There is no doubt, just in the last 10 years, if you had been in silver, you'd be up, 500%, 400%.
But
the dollar's down 40%.
Here's what
so
people are saying, well, yeah, but it's gone down in value. But it's still up in value in the last 10 years.
It's still up in value in 10 years. And you know what? That is so important, Charles, because all these people that are short-term thinkers, oh, yeah, it's not working out now. Look, it's going down in value. No, not in 10 years it hasn't. It's up more. Now, what has gone down in value in 10 years? The dollar. Your buying power. We used to have gasoline for $1 a gallon. So you have to get the bigger picture. Americans are small-minded thinking in the sense that they're short-term. They're money now. They've got to get off this, because the bigger picture has got to be paramount. If it had been all along, the world system is not feeding you truth. Let me look at this image 21. This is how it all started here in the petrodollar. That right there, look at those images. Now, that's real. That's Nixon. That is the Saudi king. So basically, oil-producing nations, what they got were weapons and military protection. The United States got oil priced in dollars, created artificial dollar demand, artificial demand for U.S. treasuries. This is the petrodollar system 101. When that took place, that agreement right there, you can take that off. When that relationship took place, it was the beginning of what we see today. Now, that is 40 years ago. Now, you can take that off, and let's move to the next one, image number 22, and you'll see a little bit more about what this means. Now, image 22, this is increased oil demand, as we knew they would be with population, equals an increase in dollar demand. Well, that equaled an increase in our standard of living. Over the last 40 years, this is what we saw take place, right?
Now, that increase in dollar demand was because of the petrodollar being put in place.
That's correct. Now, that petrodollar, what it did, that relationship you saw that started, increased dollar demand, which then therefore gave all of us a better standard of living. Come on, 40 years, we all have been having a pretty good run.
Yeah, people need to understand that whoever was buying oil, crude oil, had to have these. So they had to trade America
Yes.
something
Yes.
for these, or the
Yes.
Federal Reserve Banking System, whoever
Yep.
it was, they had to trade them something for it.
Yes, and once you get off that petro, you had to. Now, everyone needed a dollar to buy oil. If we cannot allow a country to trade oil outside the dollar, if we did. Now, remember, just for the record, this is not political. It's not against one side or another in a political spectrum. I personally can care less about politics. I care about the body of Christ, and I care that we, the people, hard-earned wealth, get prepared and have protection, because we're not stopping this. Both political parties have done this. This is bigger than us. We're not going to stop it. Let's get on the right side of the fence, and when this happens, let's be prepared in the right asset. Now, here's what happens when people started selling oil outside the dollar. Put image 23 up. This is going to be a little interesting. What do these three men have in common? Left, Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Center, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. Far right, gentleman Ahmadinejad from Iran. They refuse to accept American dollars for oil. You could take that off. Where is Saddam Hussein right now? Dead. We went into his country. Where is Muammar Gaddafi now? Right? Iran is at the center of the relationship of energy and pipeline alliances of the East with China and Russia. Iran, China, and Russia are really tight, and they're forming this alliance of energy. Now, this is one aspect that must get understood in the petrodollar, because energy is essential to all of us, correct? Europe needs Russian natural gas. Without it, the Europe economic engine stops. Germany is vital. Germany needs that energy from Russia. So this whole game in petrodollar is controlling energy, getting it away from Russia, and building alliances that are aligned to the United States to feed Europe a different supply of energy, so we don't need Russia. This is where this is going. So you'll see later on in the weeks to come how we outline those relationships and why is it important. Your retirement is at stake when this plays out. Is it playing out in front of you now? Ukraine, Syria, ISIS, the Middle East? Not by mistake. It's all part of the plan. Stay tuned for the next few weeks as we start outlining these details. Get protected. Get information. Register on the website. Give us a call. Protect those IRAs and 401ks. Roll them over to a precious metals IRA. Be in a safe place that nobody has control over because you own it. And if you haven't made Jesus Christ the center of your life, ask Him into your heart. He'll come. The truth will set you free.
I want to remind people there's no obligation when you ask for the information. We also want you to know that you can watch these programs online at Cornerstone Asset Metals. And we're going to be back next week on this same station, same place, same time. We hope to see you right here for the Wealth Transfer.